If you've been playing Tekken 8 recently, you have definitely been seeing this guy. The protagonist himself, Jin Kazama, has always been a very popular pick throughout past Tekken games. And here in Tekken 8, not only has that popularity continued, but it has actually increased, going from the 9th most popular character at the end of Tekken 7 to currently sitting as the 3rd most popular character in Tekken 8. Everyone just seems to love this guy, but why is that? Let's talk about it. Jin saw some pretty drastic changes going into Tekken 8, going from an incredibly difficult specialist character in 7 to a far more accessible version of the character in 8, with much of his execution and complexity being streamlined for new players. I believe this was absolutely the right choice for this game. Tekken has always been unique in that its main characters, being the Mishimas, have always been very difficult and out of reach for most players. Contrast this to basically every other fighting game where the mascots are often some of the most simple characters in the game. While there is a unique charm to Tekken's approach to this, I do think it was somewhat alienating for new players, and clearly Namco felt similarly, as they took clear steps to ensure that the protagonist of 8 was widely accessible for everyone. And that's the best way I can describe Jin in this game. Accessible. He's the perfect example of easy to pick up and hard to master. The kind of character who you could learn the game with and keep adding more and more things to your arsenal as you improve as a player, thus giving you the feeling of leveling up alongside your character. And if you ask me, this is a really awesome feeling. Looking at his moveset, there's a ton here. He has some of the best standard tools in the game, with incredible poking with his jab, down forward 1, and various strong pressure strings like 2-1-4 and back 2-1. And this poking is complemented very well with his strong counter hit game, with his new down 2 and his forward 4 being one of the best moves in the game. In Tekken 7, this move was still strong, but required a ton of execution to actually combo off of. That is no more in Tekken 8, thus adding to his accessibility. I mean, making one of his key moves insanely difficult to combo off of was certainly off-putting to players, myself included, so I think making his forward 4 counter hit easy to combo off of was actually a very good idea. In addition to this, Jin has access to one of the best demon paws in the game, being a very simple and strong neutral tool. So far, everything's been relatively easy, but then we get into the standard Mishima tools Jin has access to, like the electric and the wave dash options. It's hard for veteran players to understand this, but these Mishima tools can be very overwhelming and off-putting to new players, and that's another reason why I think Jin's design is so good. Unlike Kazuya and Devil Jin, he doesn't rely on these Mishima tools. He can be played to great extent without them. Sure, you'll still need them if you're trying to get into the high-level play, but you can do just fine sticking to all the simple stuff we've mentioned so far. The Mishima tools are a bonus, they're not required for people just trying to pick up the character. But when you are getting more comfortable with the game and you want to dive deeper into the character and really play him to his maximum potential, these tools will always be waiting for you. Jin has a ton of room for super high-level frame traps and setups with his stance transitions, but is also very accessible for new players, having tons of flowcharts. I absolutely love this style of character design. Jin has access to one-button electric through his new Red Eyes automatic wave dash, which is great for new players, but also a great mix-up tool out of stance for stronger players. He has built-in evasion tools like his new Samsara out of his Zen stance and his very strong up forward 2, which are all very helpful for new players, but are also incredibly strong tools in higher level Tekken, when you get better at spacing and timing and know how to properly use these moves to their maximum potential. Are you noticing a theme here? Most of his kit was designed for both new players and older, more experienced players. It's clear in regards to pro play that he also has tons of room for development, with players like Devilster and Cherry Berry Mango showcasing an insane level of play with the character so early on. It's honestly a treat to watch some of these talented players pilot this character. I have no doubt that he'll be a staple of competitive play throughout the life of this game. But he's also super common at low ranks. Don't sleep on special style Jin, that's talent. It's such a breath of fresh air to see a character like this after so many years of incredibly basic, one-dimensional characters with very little depth. Not to say that there's anything wrong with super easy characters in fighting games, but if you ask me, characters are at their best when they strike a good balance between the two. Easy to pick up and have fun with so casuals can still enjoy them, but also having hidden depth that rewards time and dedication to the character. To me, that's the perfect fighting game character. Really quick, if you guys are enjoying this video and want to support more videos like it, please consider subscribing to the channel. It's free to do and it's honestly such a huge help, as only about 9% of my viewers are actually subscribed. And you can always change your mind later. Anyway, back to the video. I know a lot of veterans aren't a fan of the general simplification of the character, but the more I've played the game, the more I've discovered that there's a ton of depth still there. It's still hidden under the surface. There were lots of arguments saying he's been streamlined because he doesn't need to use a bunch of lows, but now we're finding that his down 2 is actually reactable at high levels, which will force Jins to use more of his toolkit. I believe this will keep going, and as the game progresses, more and more players are going to be forced to get the most out of every one of Jin's moves. So as time goes on, he'll actually gravitate more towards his Tekken 7 style. There's just a lot of stuff hidden under the surface with this character. I think it's so cool to have a Mishima archetype style character being accessible for everyone, and actually be recommended for new players and old players alike. Having an accessible Mishima adds tremendously to Tekken 8's variety. If you want classic difficult Mishima gameplay, Kazuya and Devil Jin are right there. If you're looking for a more modern, difficult Mishima archetype, then you have Reina, but Jin serves as the easy to pick up but hard to master option. It's great to have this diversity. But let's move on beyond his gameplay. What are some other reasons everyone seems to be playing this character right now? Well, this essentially being his game and the climax of his story is definitely helping with his player rates. He's undoubtedly the main protagonist of this game. So newcomers will spend a lot of time with him in story mode, thus exposing him to his moveset and making sure everyone's familiar with him before they even decide to pick a main. Honestly, it's pretty impressive that Jin was so high on the popularity charts in Tekken 7, despite basically having nothing to do in the story. In addition to story mode, the developers have done such a great job at modernizing his kit and animations. He's insanely flashy and kind of puts other classic characters like Paul to shame with how well they've modernized him. His new moves like down 2, down forward 2, his new hell sweep animation, and even his new opposite of Zen like this cool dive kick are some of the funnest and most satisfying moves to hit in the game if you ask me. And I cannot stress enough how awesome the Red Eyes wave dash is. He just feels so cool, and that's not even mentioning his combos. His combos feel about 1,000 times cooler than they did in Tekken 7. And having cool looking combos is really important for a casual player base. In fact, I know a lot of people who only pick their main because of how cool their combos looks. So this is definitely helping new players pick him up more and more. Most people also consider Jin to be an A tier character, but honestly I think as other characters keep getting nerfed, I only see him rising on the tier list. I already think he's probably better than Devil Jin right now. So as the game goes on, he's just going to get better and better. And let's be honest, character viability certainly plays a part in a character's popularity. Jin will likely be a staple of both competitive and more casual play for the life of Tekken 8, and I can only hope this encourages more people to give him a shot, because if you ask me, he's a pretty perfectly designed character, and with all of these guys running around, that's becoming increasingly rare in this game. I really love Jin, and I'm looking forward to how they develop the character in future updates and seasons when they give him new moves. And I think it'll be interesting to see how his play rate goes in the future with new updates. Will it go up or down? Looking at his win rate, it's pretty low, but he's always had a low win rate, and that's never stopped people from loving him. I think in future seasons, I'd like to see them expand on its heat system. I will say that is the one thing I am a little disappointed about with Jin. I wish he had more stuff to do in heats. He just feels like he kind of got left behind compared to almost every other character. So them giving him some new moves in heats would be really cool and welcome in future seasons. I think that would probably help to increase his play rate even more. But what do you guys think? Do you think Jin will maintain his popularity throughout the life of Tekken 8, or do you think it'll gradually go down and down? Either way, let me know in the comments. I'll be down there chatting with you guys as always. But that's about all I've got for this video. If you guys enjoyed this video and want to support me, again, please consider subscribing. It's a really huge help. Anyway, I hope you all have a great day, and I'll see you later. Bye.